On behalf of the staff and the Cropper Foundation and our board as well, I take great pleasure in welcoming you all to this workshop. As you will already know, as John has said, this event has been designed to provide an opportunity for us to discuss and reflect on the main results and findings of a project which is meant to implement sustainable farming practices in communities in Trinidad's Northern Range. We also refer to this as the Eco-Agriculture Project, and this was initiated by the Cropper Foundation in 2009. Today's gathering, specifically, in many ways, marks the winding down of the Eco-Agriculture Project, and it is met with a great deal of anticipation and satisfaction by all of us at the Foundation, partly because of the road which we have traveled to get here and the tremendous learning which it has brought, because of the outlook for follow-up and continuation of these efforts, which John has outlined, and because of the importance of this type of activity in supporting agricultural policy and practice in Trinidad and Tobago, and hopefully within the wider Caribbean. Now, although the Eco-Agriculture Project has been a 2-year initiative, its genesis actually goes back to 2005, when, as John has already said, the Cropper Foundation and the University of the West Indies, along with several other partners, concluded an assessment of the Northern Range. This study highlighted that unsustainable agricultural activities, amongst other things, were having a negative impact on the range, and that failure to address these impacts would lead to continued reduction in benefits such as fresh water provision, water runoff regulation and soil retention, and carbon sequestration. As we began to consider various options for addressing these concerns and designing a project to contribute to improving agricultural practices in the Northern Range, we were confronted with some of the complex, long-standing challenges facing the local agricultural sector. Issues such as poor agricultural practices and low levels of technology use, inadequate infrastructure, so poor access roads, water resource management and drainage systems, limited quality and quantity of land designated for agricultural purposes in the country, land tenure, and climate variability and change. Recognizing, of course, that it was impossible to address the full range of issues related to hillside farming, the Eco-Agriculture Project was designed to help improve agricultural sustainability through 3 main entry points. The first, as John has spoken about, is environmental sustainability and working with farmers to understand the responsibilities associated with farming in a high nature value environment like the Northern Range. Our intervention included the consideration and implementation of soil stabilization and soil improvement practices, as well as reducing inorganic inputs. Now, Maurice and others will speak more about this during the course of this workshop. We have also tried to help promote the understanding that farmers are resource sustainers, not resource appropriators. Thank you, Alan, for that. The second is financial sustainability, where efforts were geared at understanding both the short and long-term costs and benefits associated with alternative farming practices, and how to trade off and maximize both. The third, tied closely to the second, pertains to livelihoods and how to increase the attractiveness of agriculture from both a social and economic standpoint. In many ways, the activities undertaken under the Eco-Agriculture Project are well aligned with the government's strategy for revitalizing the agricultural sector and putting it on a sustainable footing. As is clearly articulated in the government's medium-term policy framework document, which John also mentioned, this strategy is important for underpinning the government's goal of increasing food security in Trinidad and Tobago and for pursuing diversification of the local economy through agriculture. Because of the investment which we have so far made, and because of the importance of this type of work to the country, the Cropper Foundation and its partners have already begun to implement activities and explore opportunities to ensure that the work so far undertaken is not lost. You will already have heard from John about the Project for Ecosystem Services, as well as another initiative to develop Caribbean climate change scenarios, which will include inter alia, food security concerns. We are also in the process of considering how to extend the sustainable farming model developed in the Cora and Maracas St. Joseph watersheds to other watersheds in the Northern Range and in Tobago's main ridge. One of our intentions is to eventually disseminate this learning throughout the Caribbean as a means of sharing our experience with other small island developing states, many of whom share the same challenges that we do. Indeed, the soil is fertile, not just in terms of our ideas and the need for this type of work, but also in terms of the funding opportunities to make it all happen. We intend to capitalize on this as we strive towards moving away from implementing these initiatives on a project-by-project basis and exploring how they might be scaled up to have a significant impact at the national level. Let me take the opportunity before closing to thank the main sponsor of the Eco-Agriculture Project, the IDB Multilateral Investment Fund. Without their support, none of these activities would have been possible. So thank you, Vashti, for all of your assistance to date. We are also heavily indebted to the FAO, Lisa, thank you very much, and to the Fernandez Business Center for their counterpart contributions to various project components. Thank you also to our main partners and collaborators on this initiative. Your intellectual contributions, encouragement, and unfailing support have been critical factors in advancing this project. This is extended to the University of the West Indies, principally through the Departments of Life Sciences, of which John is the head, and the Agricultural Economics Department, the Ministry of Food, Production, Land and Marine Resources, through their Research Division and the Agricultural Planning Division, the Trust for Sustainable Livelihoods, CARDI, FAO, ICA, SEDU. Thank you. We look forward to deepening our valued relationships with all of our partners and collaborators, and to building new partnerships as we seek opportunities to expand and build on the work that we have started. I look forward to the outcomes of today's discussions and deliberations, and thank you all in advance for your invaluable inputs. Thank you very much.